Breaking news: a huge trade rumor shaking up the Falcons. Big news, football fans. There's a major trade rumor swirling around the Atlanta Falcons, and it could send shockwaves through the NFL. But before we dive into the details, don't forget to hit that like button so you never miss an update on your favorite team. Now, let's talk about this potential blockbuster deal: Kyle Pitts to the Kansas City Chiefs. Yes, you heard that right. The Falcons might be looking to move on from their former top draft pick, and the Chiefs could be the perfect landing spot. Atlanta is heading into a crucial season. Head coach Raheem Morris is only in his second year, but 2025 already feels like a must-win season for him and general manager Terry Fontenot. The team is under pressure, especially with some big financial decisions ahead. The biggest challenge? Kirk Cousins' massive contract. Even with the NFL's salary cap rising to $281.5 million, his deal is putting Atlanta in a tough spot. If they cut ties with him, they'll be stuck with a $40 million cap hit. That's a huge problem. But Cousins isn't the only question mark. Kyle Pitts' future in Atlanta is also uncertain. When the Falcons drafted him 4th overall, they expected him to be a game-changing tight end. But after 4 seasons, he hasn't lived up to the hype. He has only 10 career touchdowns, with a high of just 4 last season, far from what you'd expect from a top pick. Now, according to Vinny Iyer of Sporting News, the Falcons may have found a trade partner, the Kansas City Chiefs. And when you think about it, this move makes a lot of sense. The Chiefs are fresh off another Super Bowl appearance, but there are questions about Travis Kelce's future. Will he retire? Even if he plays one more season, Kansas City needs a long-term replacement. That's where Pitts comes in. As Iyer put it, this could be a smart move for Kansas City, whether Kelce retires or not. Pitts hasn't quite fit into Atlanta's offense, and rookie quarterback Michael Penix Jr. doesn't seem like the best match for him either. But in Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes can make any weapon shine, and Andy Reid knows how to get the best out of his players. Pitts has the raw talent, and in the right system, he could finally live up to his potential. So, what do you think? Should the Falcons trade Kyle Pitts to the Chiefs? Let us know in the comments. Could a fresh start unlock Kyle Pitts' full potential? It's hard to argue with the idea that Kyle Pitts hasn't found his rhythm in Atlanta. He's played under different offensive coordinators and hasn't been used to his full potential. But a move to Kansas City, where he'd play in Andy Reid's system with Patrick Mahomes throwing him the ball, that could be exactly what he needs to finally showcase his elite talent. From the Falcons' perspective, trading Pitts wouldn't just be about moving on from a disappointing draft pick, it would also be a smart financial and roster-building decision. Pitts is set to play on a $10.8 million club option this season, and that's a big number for a team that's already tight on salary cap space. If the Chiefs offer a valuable draft pick, this could be an easy decision for Atlanta. Let's be real, the Falcons have a lot of holes to fill. Trading Pitts would free up cap space and give them much-needed draft capital in a year where they only have 4 draft selections. Meanwhile, for Kansas City, this is a low-risk, high-reward move. If Travis Kelce retires, Pitts gets a 1-year chance to prove he can be the next great tight end. If Kelce stays, Pitts can develop and thrive in an offense that knows how to get the best out of its weapons. So, Falcons fans, what do you think? Would you trade Kyle Pitts if it meant more flexibility in draft picks? Or do you still believe he can become a star in Atlanta? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Breaking down the Falcons' salary cap situation. Now, let's talk about money. The NFL has just announced that the 2025 salary cap will range between $277.5 million and $281.5 million, a huge jump from last year's $255.4 million. Over the past 2 off-seasons, the cap has increased by over $53 million. That sounds like great news, right? Well, not so fast. Even with this extra cap space, the Falcons are still over budget. According to Over the Cap, Atlanta is $4.99 million over the salary cap, and Spotrac's projections are even worse, putting them $8.6 million in the red. The Falcons are one of only 5 teams currently over the cap, alongside the Saints, Browns, Bills, and Seahawks. That means tough decisions are coming before free agency kicks off. But here's the good news. There are ways to fix this. Cutting defensive tackle David Onyemata could save $8 million right away. Restructuring contracts for key players like Grady Jarrett, Jake Matthews, and Caleb McGarry could free up nearly $30 million. So while things might look tight right now, there's plenty of room to maneuver if GM Terry Fontenot plays his cards right. And let's be honest, this offseason might be the most important of his career. Last season, the Falcons finished 8-9, their best record in 7 years. Now they have a chance to build on that momentum. But to do that, they need to make the right moves. Stay tuned because this offseason is about to get very interesting. The Falcons need more than just offense to make the playoffs. Last season, the Falcons showed promise, but let's be real, it still wasn't good enough to get back to the playoffs. The offense has young talent with Michael Penix Jr., Bijan Robinson, and Darnell Mooney. But if Atlanta wants to take the next step, the defense needs serious upgrades. The good news? Today's salary cap update makes those upgrades more possible. What this means for the Falcons' free agents. One of the biggest names hitting free agency is center Drew Dalman. With extra cap space, agents will push for bigger deals. So will the Falcons lock him up early or let him test the market? That's going to be one of the biggest storylines to watch. Another key question: how will Atlanta restructure contracts? With a higher salary cap, teams might push money into future seasons to create more flexibility now. But that strategy comes with long-term risks. So, what's the plan? Do the Falcons go all in on 2025, spending aggressively to win now? Or do they take a cautious approach, focusing on long-term stability? The next few weeks will tell us everything about this front office's strategy. The Falcons are still over the cap, but there's hope. Yes, Atlanta is still over the cap, but thanks to today's update, the situation looks much more manageable. A few smart moves, like cutting costs and restructuring contracts, and the Falcons could be in prime position to make a splash in free agency. Now, we want to hear from you. Should the Falcons go big and bring in top talent, or should they play it safe and focus on keeping key players? Drop your thoughts in the comments. The 2025 NFL Draft, a make-or-break moment for Atlanta. The offseason is always exciting for football fans, especially as we get closer to the 2025 NFL Draft. But this year, things are a little different for the Falcons. GM Terry Fontenot only has 4 draft picks to work with, which means every single pick has to count. The front office can't afford to miss. They need to be at their absolute best when evaluating talent. And let's be honest, Atlanta has struggled in the draft over the years. Since 2017, only 3 players drafted by the Falcons have gone on to earn Pro Bowl or All-Pro honors: Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, Chris Lindstrom. That's not a great track record. If the Falcons want to take the next step, they must bring in the best minds to help build a championship-level roster. And that brings us to a golden opportunity sitting right in front of them. On Monday, NFL insider Tom Pelissero reported that the Las Vegas Raiders stay tuned for the next big move. Should the Falcons go after Champ Kelce? Big news in the NFL. Champ Kelce and the Las Vegas Raiders have parted ways. That means one of the most respected scouting minds in football is now available, and the Falcons should be doing everything they can to bring him in. Who is Champ Kelce? If you're not familiar with him, here's why he's a big deal. Nearly 2 decades of NFL scouting and front office experience. Started as a college scout for the Denver Broncos in 2007, promoted to assistant director of player personnel by 2010, moved to the Chicago Bears in 2015 as director of pro scouting. Most recently, he was the interim GM of the Raiders in 2023. Why this matters for the Falcons. Here's where it gets really interesting for Atlanta fans. During his time in Chicago, Kelce worked closely with Ryan Pace, who is now Atlanta's VP of Football Operations. That connection could be key in getting Kelce to Atlanta. And let's be real, the Falcons need a top scouting mind to help find hidden gems in the draft. Kelce has a proven track record of helping teams draft impact players like Cody Whitehair, Pro Bowl lineman, Jordan Howard, former 1,000-yard rusher, Eddie Jackson, All-Pro safety. And don't forget, when the Raiders promoted him to interim GM, he helped stabilize a shaky franchise. He's not just a scout, he's a leader. Why the Falcons need him now? The Falcons only have 4 draft picks this year, which means they can't afford to miss. Atlanta has struggled in recent drafts, and if they truly want to maximize their picks, they need the best minds in the building. Bringing in Champ Kelce would be a huge boost for Atlanta's scouting department, not just for 2025, but for years to come. What do you think, Falcons fans? Would you want Atlanta to go all in on hiring Champ Kelce? Could he help turn things around in the draft? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss a Falcons update. Go Falcons!